Hello, everybody, and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, where it's all about the monster. We are a podcast to discuss all kinds of fictional monsters, creatures, and beasts, from the alien to the mythological and supernatural, from all corners of pop culture. We've done 2 corners so far. Hi, Khalid. I'm Joe, your other host.
Hey, Joe. I'm Khalid, the other host.
How's it going today?
It's going really good. I'm going to try and bounce back from that intro.
It was great. Don't deny it.
Yeah, honestly, no complaints here. I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
Pretty good. Do you know what I'm excited about?
What?
We have a special guest today.
We do?
We do.
Why am I just hearing about this?
I thought I sent you like a memo a couple weeks ago.
You know I don't check my memos.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna trust your judgment here. This better be a great guest. I better be blown away.
Oh, it is. It is. We have, all the way from my house, my wife,
What?
Nicole Praska, is here on the show to help us discuss our movie today. She is a scientist, a geek, an awesome person, and I'll let her speak for herself. Nicole, say hi.
Aw, thanks, dear. Hi, everyone.
Nikki!
I'm Nicole. Hi, Khalid.
Hey, Nikki. Welcome to our awesome show, Nikki. So happy to have you here. I'm very excited to have you on. I was kidding. I knew you were on, and it was mostly my idea.
So, all right, we have a...
I can't...
That was good. So we have a couple questions that I've decided that we're going to ask guests when they come onto the show. And since you're our first guest, this is going to be a good trial run, all right? Are you ready?
I tried to be ready.
All right. Well, number 1 question. So this podcast, as you might know, is a monster podcast. We talk about monsters, right? And we talk about corners of pop culture and whatnot. So my question for you is, what is your favorite monster from any corner of pop culture? That could be a book, that could be a game, it could be a movie or a show of all time. Favorite monster, go.
As far as favorite, it's hard for me to love monsters sometimes, but I will tell you what I would say is the most memorable monster to me that sticks out amongst all of the monsters I've encountered in pop culture. The Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth, played by the amazing Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
Dougie Jones!
What makes the Pale Man stick out to you?
He's visually very scary. I don't recall him talking either, and I think quiet monsters are sometimes the scariest.
I don't know why, especially because we've been talking about Doug Jones more lately, and I've always been interested conceptually in Pan's Labyrinth, having never seen it. Just like everything I've seen about it is so interesting. I think this might be the last recommendation I need to finally just sit down and watch it.
Because it's memorable to me?
Exactly. Yeah. I value what you bother to remember enough to do that. Enough to go watch the movie and try to see if it's memorable for me too.
I've only seen the movie once. We saw it, I think, in high school together.
Okay, so I got to tell the story, I suppose. We saw it in high school together, and it was kind of a date night movie for us. And I don't think, Nikki, I don't think you'd actually heard much about it, so I described it as supposed to be, it's like Wizard of Oz kind of, or something like that for adults. So we went to see it, and if for any of you who have seen it, it is dark. It is grim. It's depressing. It's heavy. And you got a little emotional, which is totally 100% valid and fair. It's an emotional movie. But at one point, she turns to me, just rage and sadness in her eyes, and says, "Why did you take me to this?"
Well, I still married you.
Yeah. Well, it was worth it, though. It was a great movie.
Yeah. It sticks out, like I said. So you should watch it, Khalid. Yeah. The Pale Man.
Now I
guess,
have to.
Yeah. I think, he's got all those eyes on him.
Does he have a lot of eyes? I thought it was just the 2 palm eyes.
Oh, maybe it is just the 2 palm eyes. I should have pulled
He's
up
got a bunch
picture.
of folds on him that kind of could look like eyes maybe from a distance, but he has the palm eyes, and he has a bunch of folds, and he has no eyes where eyes should be, though.
Yeah, maybe that's, yeah. So the eyes were not where they should be. The fingers are abnormally long and creepy, and he looks just like a dead white man. Kind of.
Oof.
Kinda, yeah. He's he's not nice.
All right, so there you have it, folks. The Pale Man is not nice.
So, second question then for you. That is your favorite monster or creature in all of pop culture, or at least the most memorable for you. What would you say is... Oh, never mind. The other question I was going to have, and I think this goes with it. I was going to say, what is the scariest that you've seen? But I would almost say that, is that the scariest to you as well?
I'm not entirely. I would say, I mean, he sticks out because he was very scary. But I think, and I guess it would depend on, how you're defining monsters here. But the last time I had a nightmare, I'm going to admit this here, was when we were watching Jessica Jones. And Kilgrave, or the Purple Man, was the last time that I had a nightmare as an adult. So, although he's not, I suppose, by your definition, a monster or even a creature, he's supposed to be just a human man.
Definitely monstrous.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a kind of monster that we just won't cover on our podcast because it's just like not fun to talk about that kind of monster.
Yeah. But so I would say maybe that's one of the scariest ones. And I guess speaking of David Tennant, kind of crossing over to a lot of the Doctor Who villains, I think are pretty nefarious, including like the Vashta Narada and the
Good
Silence.
choice.
Yeah, and the Silence, yeah.
Yeah, the Silence
Yeah,
are kind
we
of
gotta-
like our like the gentleman from Hush a little bit that we did last episode. The Silence would be a good one to do too.
Which one's the Silence? I feel like I'm confusing that with the Weeping Angel.
The Silence, they're like, they got big alien like heads and they wear suits and they are very silent. Also, they don't talk, so that's pretty fitting actually.
Well, and the scary thing
Okay.
about them is that you forget about them as soon as you're not looking at them.
Yeah, that's the concept in the episode. You only know about them when you see and you
Oh.
turn away. You have no recollection of the concept.
I remember thinking that was a really cool idea for a monster when I saw that episode. I got to get back into Who. There's some cool creatures on that.
Oh, 100%. You got to keep watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one more question that I have for you, Nikki, is I in my intro for you, I said that you are a geek, which I think you would agree with, right?
Correct.
So tell me what you would consider the big parts of your geek card, if so to speak, if you would say I have a geek card. What do you think is your kind of geek claim to fame or your big attraction to that world of the geek universe?
Well, as you mentioned, I am a scientist. I first worked in a medical laboratory, and now I work in forensic science as a certified latent fingerprint examiner. I love my job. Besides my day-to-day lab work, I do research and present on bloody fingerprints. I'm also a fantasy reader. Harry Potter was my entry into that as a kid. And since then, I've read numerous other series like Game of Thrones, the Wheel of Time series, and the Broken Earth trilogy. I also love reading biographies and memoirs, which I feel like is kind of nerdy, geeky, I guess. We also started playing D&D, Joe and I, about a year and a half ago, so we've been getting into role-playing games, and probably the biggest corner of my geek card is Star Trek. Together, Joe and I have consumed hours watching the different series from beginning to end, and we're going to the big convention in Las Vegas for the first time this December, so we're excited for that. I think you can be a geek for anything. It just means that you're passionate about it, and I love that, and I love hearing about other people's passions and geekiness, and yeah, it's great.
Oh, good answer, yeah. So let's pivot to the actual thing we're going to be talking about today, and this is another big reason we asked Nicole to be on today. Is one thing I didn't say in the intro is that she is a self-described feminist.
Also correct.
And I think that having that perspective is going to be really great for the movie we're talking about. Khalid, take it away. What are we talking about?
Thanks for asking, Joe. Today we're talking about the 2009 movie Jennifer's Body, directed by Karyn Kusama and written by Diablo Cody. And just cribbing off of my homeboy Google here with the synopsis, it basically goes like this. When a demon takes possession of her, high school hottie Jennifer turns a hungry eye on guys who never stood a chance with her before. While evil Jennifer satisfies her appetite for human flesh with the school's male population, her nerdy friend Needy learns what's happening and vows to put an end to the carnage.
What a monster.
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
All right, Khalid. Just to start us off, and we'll each kind of go around here. What did you think of the movie? I know you just rewatched today. We watched it about 2 weeks ago, so it's really fresh in your head. What'd you think of it?
I don't know, like a lot of words come to mind, but I mean, I guess I'll just start off by saying that I really, really like this movie. Just as much for like the backstory behind it, which we'll get into, as much as for the story that it's telling. It was this rewatch more than anything that kind of snapped it into place exactly what I liked about this movie and like why this kind of resurgence of appreciation came 10 years later that makes sense to me now. I love the topics that it touches on. I love that I'm old enough to fully appreciate it, because I think that even if I like sat there and fully paid attention when the movie actually came out and I was like 18 or 19, I don't know that even then I would have caught half of the stuff that it's really dropping on me, and the benefit of hindsight plays into it. This is just, I don't know, it's like a right place, right time kind of movie that only happens so often, you know? It's like, I guess the only thing I could compare it to is like Parasite in a way, where it's just like a lot of factors came together to make it good outside of just being a good movie.
Right. I feel like you said it kind of perfectly. One of the first thoughts that I had after watching the movie is I did love it myself. But I really felt like watching it when it came out in 2009, just knowing who I was at the time, I do not think I would have appreciated it nearly as much as I do now. It's a very special kind of, it's very unique in a lot of ways. And you touched on a little bit, but I think the tone is also something that really stands out. Like horror and comedy are interesting genres because when they're paired together, they can go really, really well together, but they can also go really, really poorly together sometimes. And I feel like this movie does it so well, right? And that's something that just it just hits kind of at sweet spot, you know?
Oh yeah, and it's like this is the kind of movie that really plays into the touchy waters of being super self-aware, and that tends to fall into like a self-congratulatory world with movies where like it stops being fun and it almost feels like, I guess for lack of a better word, masturbatory when you see it sometimes in a movie like Anchorman 2, for example, where it's just so aware that it's an Anchorman movie that you can't even enjoy it. This really does a good job just finessing that and still like letting you know at every turn that like, oh, we know we have Megan Fox in this movie. We know exactly what you think you're watching, but this is what you're actually watching.
Oh, totally. And I feel like it reminded me a lot of another movie that I think strikes this balance really well, and that's the remake of Fright Night with Anton Yelchin and David Tennant. You know, we watched that I think a couple Halloweens ago.
Yes.
It wasn't hugely popular, but I actually really like that movie a lot, and I feel like it strikes this same kind of tone in some really good ways, and like the same way actually. So for folks out there who just watched Jennifer's Body, go back and watch Fright Night too. It's another one you probably like too. So Nicole, what'd you think?
I'd have to echo some of the same things you guys just said, actually. When this came out at the time, yeah, we were 18, 19 years old, and I mean, the way that this movie was promoted was terrible. It was not promoted to, well, people like us, and especially not me. I saw it as, you know, the way it was marketed was Megan Fox being hot and I guess like also being a monster somehow, and you know, being horror and like a hot girl at the same time kind of combo. And I was just, it was not my cup of tea. And so it wasn't until I think you encouraged us to watch this, Khalid, and it wasn't until you told me kind of a little bit more what it's actually about that I decided to sit down and we watched it. So it would not have been a movie I would have seen at the time, and a lot of people didn't, and it's kind of become a cult classic, so to speak. But overall, now watching it, I appreciate a lot of what it was doing, and I really enjoyed it.
In what a lot of us, I think, wouldn't have thought of back then in 2009 either was that it really is kind of a feminist horror story, right? Like it's a feminist story inherently, which is another good reason that we have you here, Nikki, that it's not just two dudes talking about like a feminist thing.
Who doesn't like that though, right?
Right? Mansplaining. We should just call the podcast that.
Tink. It's like a sound effect. You got to put a sound effect in there for that.
I should. I'll look for something. You want to touch a little bit about like some of the feminist themes, Nikki? Do you have some of that?
Oh boy. Well, let's see. First and foremost, the central relationship in the movie is not a guy and a girl. It's two friends, two female friends, Needy and Jennifer. And so that alone gets us into, kind of a more woman-centered movie. And frankly, I think, with the scene where it doesn't come until much later in the movie, the scene where we find out why Jennifer has started eating people, was that she was essentially sacrificed in some sort of like devil cult spell by some boy band.
Just to back up for just a second, the boy band, right? That's so that's like there's a goofy little band in the movie when the lead singer is was it Adam Brody? It's not Adrian Brody, right? Adam Brody.
Yeah, it's Adam Brody.
Not the pianist guy, right?
I'm pretty sure it was the pianist now that I think about it. Yeah, he was the guitarist in this, but he was always the pianist.
But he like sacrificed. They kidnap her, right? And they sacrifice her to I don't know, Satan, right?
I guess so.
Satan. And the idea is that
yeah,
if
it's
they
pretty
follow,
much Satan.
Yeah, if they follow this ritual and kill her, who presumably they presume is a virgin, that they'll get instantly famous, right?
Yeah, and what sucks about that, just real quick, is that they still get what they want. But then she, not actually being a virgin, ends up becoming a succubus demon and, loses her friends and her, I don't know, her life as it was.
Yeah. No, if I can just chime in here, yeah, if the man can say something real quick. I think that, and this isn't really my point so much as just what I'm kind of remembering from a great Vox article about the movie, which hopefully Joe will link to it or something in the bio. But essentially, I really like the idea of these men. I don't like it, but I like the concept of these men doing this horrible thing to a woman in the name of their own success. I think that when we talk about why this movie is so relevant to our times, it's good to remember that the Me Too movement had pretty much just happened when that Vox article had come out, and there was a lot of thought going into it and stuff, and this movie really kind of underscores how messed up it can be to try and even exact any kind of justice or try to get any kind of retribution from these powerful people or steadily rising people, and it just feels even if you were to even if Megan Fox's character was able to make sense of what happened to her and she was to get in front of news cameras, what is she gonna say? These guys took me out to the woods and stabbed me, and then the devil gave them a record deal. That sounds insane. I mean, even if people believe her, a lot of people wouldn't care because that sounds stupid. So it's just such a powerful metaphor that is so perfect for discussion now.
Agreed. And it's such a casual manner in which this group of dudes decide to destroy or end her life for their own gain, and it's really chilling. I remember after we talked about it, Joe mentioned that he felt that cause they start singing kind of right before they stab her. What are they singing?
Yeah, that 8675309.
Yeah.
So messed up.
Yeah, right. And I don't know. Joe mentioned it put a little bit of a lighter tone to a really dark scene, but I actually disagreed. I actually thought it kind of increased the vileness of the whole thing. Sort of, I think, bouncing off of what you were saying, Khalid, the kind of was a reminder to me of the way that the ridicule and debasement of women is a fun pastime for many men of the world. And I guess them sort of singing that ridiculous song while they're murdering her, gang murdering her, was super disturbing.
Very disturbing. And then while we're on the subject of songs, it's also important to remember that Amanda Seyfried's character, because she's really the one that kind of we experience the trauma through more so than Megan Fox's character. She repeatedly kind of gets re-traumatized throughout the movie every time their now hit song gets played, and I think that is also such a cool detail that they don't even bother to stop and like explain to you. It's just like if you've ever like had a friend who's been like assaulted by like a musician or something like that, or if you've ever just even heard from like the recountings of people that have been like assaulted by like famous people, like it's not so much just how bad that night is, it's that like because these people are in the spotlight, because their stuff is like mass consumption, you are constantly confronted with them when you least expect it. It's not even a thing. Like people might be like, try to avoid it. She literally just gets into her car and turns it on, and the first song that comes on the radio is that stupid "Through the Trees" song. Like, how do you avoid that? Like, it's just like she keeps getting like assaulted by it again, like reliving that night.
Yeah, I actually feel like this film did a good job of not explicitly talking about it, but I think it was a good metaphor overall as well for the cycle of abuse as well. Thinking about that, I mean, it's pretty fun, a woman getting sacrificed ends up, becoming a demon who can like eat guys. But the thing is, I guess like the guys aren't like, I mean, we don't know them to be bad guys, so to speak. They're like kind of fairly innocent men, and to me, it was like not as like satisfying for her to sort of get the better of them. And for me, I was thinking about that, and I was like, it sort of reminds me of how, one abuse just kind of perpetuates a cycle because, abuse tends to like beget abuse.
Well, that's the other thing about it is that it feels like whenever people criticize patriarchy or something like that, the immediate implication is that you're criticizing something that benefits all men and it hurts all women, and it's really never that neat of a line. Like, speaking to your point about the victims, what's so interesting about that for me is that, like, yeah, like you said, these guys are not necessarily bad. They're dumb and like kind of horny, which I don't know, like if your only crime was that you wanted to have sex with a willing Megan Fox, like I don't understand how that warrants death. So it feels like the real lesson is like that like men and women can fall victim to patriarchy. Like I feel like these guys are a great example of like victims of patriarchy.
Yeah.
Wow, guys, what an analysis. Did y'all notice that Chris Pratt was there too?
Yeah, dude, what the hell? The cast on this thing is insane. J.K. Simmons just pops in every once in a while.
He also has a hook hand. What's up with that?
Amy Sedaris is just like a psychic mom. Like they barely get into that. I don't.
There's a lot happening in this movie. Like this is a lot.
And yeah, we don't need to get too deep into it. But did you guys feel like Diablo Cody definitely had like sequels and stuff in mind? Like this felt like the first episode in like a super cool TV show where like it was gonna be like Amanda Seyfried's like take on Buffy.
I actually wrote this down in my notes. It said almost a superhero origin story ? Which kind of feels like it at the end. Like so for those of you listening to this and haven't seen Jennifer's Body, go watch it if you haven't already. Nicole and I watched it on the Stars app. We did the 7-day free trial. Otherwise, I think, Khalid, you watched it on Amazon Prime, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Paid
go watch it. Pause
twice.
right here. Go watch it because we're spoiling probably lots of it. Anyway, I was going to say almost a superhero origin story because Amanda Seyfried's character, Needy, gets like elements of the succubus power, but she doesn't actually have to be a succubus. She's just like superhuman now and breaks out of prison at the end, and like that was kind of a more satisfying murder scene right at the end when
Needy's revenge was my favorite.
She murders the Low Shoulder, which is the name of the band, Low Shoulder guys.
It was oh my god, Low Shoulder. Okay.
Low Shoulder.
Two things. Horrible name for a band.
It's horrible.
That song is garbage, and literally the only reason I could believe it would be big is if the devil himself.
I hope that was on purpose, right? Maybe like the song was bad on purpose.
Through the trees, I will find you. It's going to be stuck in my head all week, and I hate it. Oh, my God. But, yeah, I swear to God, like, in lesser hands, this movie would be all about, like, the third act and the end credit stinger where it's like, oh, that's the movie, you know, that's the exciting stuff people want to see, and like the satisfaction of like somebody wronged and then somebody like getting retribution on the wrong party. And it's like this movie is like so not concerned with this like stupid band that they make that just like almost a little gag at the end. Like it's like the Hangover gag, you know, at the end of that movie where it's just like a bunch of funny photos for you to laugh at as you walk out the movie. Like mind blown. Kudos. Like Diablo Cody, Karyn Kusama, like what a team.
Right. Yeah. The point of it, yeah, like you're saying, the point of it isn't that stinger. It's to sit with a lot of the stuff that we've been through already, and that's just kind of like an added bonus at the end.
Yeah, because honestly, screw those guys. Like, it absolutely, anytime you try to make a movie, and I think that, like, it's just the benefit of, like, knowledge and learning. But, like, now that we have that knowledge in our hands, like, this movie gave us the playbook. Like, if you're ever going to make another movie about, like, a woman getting, like, assaulted and stuff like that, like, really investigate, like, what you're following after the story and if it's, like, important or sheds light in a healthy way. Because, like, I don't need to see or like get any kind of backstory on this band. Like everything I need to know about these guys happened in the movie, and they got exactly how much screen time they deserved.
Exactly. So from that, we'll talk a little bit about Jennifer herself, the I guess the sort of creature monster, if you will, of the movie. As we've mentioned already, she is a succubus demon, or a member of the succubi, which it's one of those kind of words with an I plural, you know, those fun kind of words. But so like the concept of succubi in mythology is that they're powerful female demons who use sexuality to seduce and prey on men by eating their souls. And there's a male counterpart. It's the incubus demon, or also another I, incubi, you can say. So that's fun too. And another cool part about this is there is very little CGI effects in this. Actually, did you guys notice that?
Yeah. Again, I'm gonna probably say it at least one or two more times, but that's Karyn Kusama. Like the second time I saw it, like I feel like you hear Diablo Cody wrote the movie, and it's easy to want to just like throw all the credit to her, but like Karyn Kusama does a lot, and it feels so deliberate. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but like, did you see how like every once in a while, like she would just like completely forego the obvious jump scare for like, she's like, no, the jump's coming when I say it's coming, not when you're conditioned to see it coming, you know, where it would be like the first scene where Jennifer has just come back from like being murdered and stuff, and we're still not entirely sure what's happening, and Amanda Seyfried's like walking alone in her house, and then she opens the door to her basement trying to see if there's anything there. There's nothing there, and typically that's when she would close the door and something would appear right there, and she just forgoes it, and she does that a couple of times, and I really loved it.
Yeah, it totally works really well. And when we actually see like Megan Fox or Jennifer kind of become like monstrous in the movie, we don't see it that much. I mean, I think one of the scenes is almost entirely like silhouette or shadow. But when we do see her jaw kind of unhinges and she has these crazy sharp teeth, right? But even that scene, like when you see that happen, that's actually not much CGI happen. I mean, there's a little bit in there, a CGI, but mostly it's still very practical. Even the part in the beginning where she like vomits all that black stuff was actually like real, and was chocolate syrup too. Like that, a lot of that. I mean, some parts of it were CGI, but a lot of it was real. So I actually found out, I did some research here, that the effects team had created a duplicate live cast replica Megan Fox head for when she had to become monstrous. They actually had to pull in a double, like another actress, to do most of the scenes, because they realized just with their limited budget it took too long to put the makeup on Megan Fox herself and then take it off for the next scene. So they had another double who would wear this like cast head, and when she would become monstrous, it was like a combination of that head and then the replica kind of standing in for when they did have to put in some CGI elements.
Impressive.
Yeah, that is
Right?
sick. Yes, and it worked because I didn't need that like horror movies in general are just like metaphor for the most part anyway. So like you only need so much of the actual like subtext as text of like a monster in front of your face to really understand what it's going for. And I think that this movie really benefited from like how sparingly it went the full on show Megan Fox as a monster route.
Less is more in the horror genre.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on the monster effects or anything, Nikki?
I guess one thing that stuck with me as I was trying to look up more about how they made her jaw do that, or how it appeared to be that way, was that, I mean, it's really only her face and her mouth that changes. So it was just, I think, interesting to me that in a movie where the thing you're supposed to be afraid of is as a high school girl, a hot high school girl, and so like, you know, she's intact, like she doesn't grow tentacles or sprout, you know, hair or something like crazy and you know, very far-fetched. It's just like her jaw opens really wide, but she's still like, you know, got her, you know, banging bod and you know, her great hair and everything. And it's just like, you know, my mouth is just going to open up a little bit bigger, and I've got really sharp teeth all of a sudden to devour your innards, and then she's done, and she looks great afterwards.
She looks great for a little while too, right? Nikki, do you want to talk? You mentioned this after we're done watching it, about how she looks great, then she starts to kind of look less and less great until she feeds again, but there's kind of something more to that.
Oh, yeah. So as I was reading a little bit about the movie afterwards, it was pointed out by someone, I don't remember where, I should have credited, but is interesting that it seemed like about maybe once a month, like every few weeks, is when Jennifer would need flesh. Like she would start to look more plain and kind of sick, frankly. She looked pale, looked like she had dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was lanky and kind of tangled or whatever. And then after she would feed, then she, you know, her hair's glossy and she's got color back in her cheeks and she looks really great. And sort of in real life, contrasting that with like the monthly period that women go through and high school women experience for the first time often. So it was an interesting kind of like flip on that instead of bleeding once a month for a week, Jennifer ends up having to eat a man about once a month in order to stay fresh. So yeah, that was
it looks like it's their time of the month to die.
Yeah.
Zing.
Another sound effect right there, Joe. No, that's so cool. And I do love that this movie really like has so much fun with like the idea of like the teenage boys as prey. You know, I guess it stood out the most to me with like the little goth dude, you know, when I don't even know if he's goth. Like I think he's just like a Fall Out Boy.
Remind me of the lead singer of Green Day.
Yeah, it was like this movie just brings me back to a time that I think I needed another 10 years away from before I could really walk back into. That's the only complaint. I just like remembered every scene kid from high school with this movie. But his whole thing when he goes into the house under construction, I guess it wasn't dilapidated, it was just under construction, but like he goes in there and like the way they frame him and how like scared and like boyish he looks all of a sudden, when like earlier he was just like so DTF with Megan Fox and stuff. It was so expertly done. It stands out because you never see it, you know? You never see a guy that's like that, like put on the pedestal, like ready to just be like decimated for our viewing pleasure like that.
Speaking of prey, Khalid, thinking about bears right now.
Is that what it's come to? You're not even doing segues anymore?
Didn't they think the first guy who dies in the woods? Yeah.
Oh, God, you should have done the segue.
I should have. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the first guy they thought died from a bear in this movie.
We haven't actually technically done a segue yet. I do not count what Joe did as a segue.
I've been rocking the segues. What are you talking about?
Up until now, yes, Joe. This was just full on not a segue, like even by the most generous of definitions.
Speaking of segues, Clede, let's segue into the Four Bears test.
All right, we're doing it. Four Bears test. If this is your first time listening to the show, basically I came up with a dumb game that another listener made a smart game. So what we do is we talk about the monster in the movie and we ask a very simple question. Does the movie still work if you replace the monster we're discussing with four bears? And I guess the condensed reasoning behind it is like it's another way of just talking about and gauging the monster's merits on its own outside of narrative. So for this movie, it's kind of tough, but I think we're back on like a pretty strong yes with the Four Bears thing on this. If we're talking about, I guess the caveat is it's got to be four bears that you'd want to have sex with. Cause like she makes it explicit at one point in the movie that the guy has to be at least sort of into it for like the feeding process. It all feels very ritualistic, like beyond just I can indiscriminately kill. Like I have to do like this specific process of I have to get you hot and bothered, and then I have to like feast on that. So if you could train four bears to seduce like horny teen boys and get them into like secluded places, yeah, that holds up. This passes the Four Bears test. I don't know. What do you guys say, Nikki?
Yeah, when I was thinking about, because I've obviously listened to all the episodes, and so I'm aware of the Four Bears test. And listening to the last couple of episodes, the creature entity would fail the Four Bears test, and I knew on this one we were gonna pass.
Yeah, and it's really refreshing. Like I always get worried like, oh, are we just gonna have like a streak of like fails for the Four Bears test, and I'm just gonna look like a dummy for like just like shoehorning in this like maybe amusing joke. But when it passes, it's really interesting to talk about.
Yep.
Agreed. Yeah, I like that.
What do you think, Joe?
No, I think that, I mean, Nikki, when you brought up the whole concept that the authorities in the movie thought that was a bear attack in the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, that totally does work really well. Like, I mean, and even just the visuals of like how they kind of look at the end, like kind of looks like a mauling, right? Like she doesn't completely consume every aspect of the boys. Like she mauls them pretty much.
Yeah, it's not she doesn't use every part of the buffalo to be gross for a second.
Good one.
She I don't know, that also felt kind of like you know how like when you'll like I guess like just some girls I've seen, I don't want to make this about all girls, but some girls I've seen like where they'll eat and stuff, like even when they say they're like starving, but it's like it's not like guys where like clean plate club. It's just like you got you got a big chunk of it, but like I'm so confused about like the route you went, like with the guy with the Fall Out Boy kid.
Fall Out Boy kid.
She just kind of like emptied out his torso and is just like ladling with her hand like handfuls of blood to sip, which was like an interesting choice. I've never had to eat a person before. I just don't think that's how I'd go about it.
Yeah. Do you guys have so we mentioned that this movie was like kind of a good combination of horror and comedy. Do you have any like specific scenes that stick out to you as either scariest or even maybe the funniest scenes?
It's okay. If I can go first. My funniest / I guess eventually gets to be the scariest part is when the bar right at the beginning, when Low Shoulder is playing their song, just mysteriously catches fire. I'm glad I watched it a second time to know I wasn't crazy. Like these guys they're not like witches or wizards or anything. They're just a mediocre band that wants to make a deal with the devil. So it couldn't have been them that started the fire, but they're also not disturbed by it, and everybody just acts like it's weird. Like some people act like there's a fire going on and other people don't, and the whole scene is just played so confusingly that I'm left with just laughter. I have to laugh at it. I don't know what else to do. It's so confusing.
Yeah, that's actually a great example of those kind of scenes that do blend those two genres well. I feel like it's like absurd to the point where you're like laughing, but then it's this increasingly horrific like sequence because it leads to, you know, like ultimately like the sacrifice element. And like when she gets into the car with them, even despite like Needy's like she protests, like don't go with them, and she goes, and you know, and Jennifer goes with her and like is clearly not sober or not fully aware of what's going on even. And I feel like that's like a horrific scene, right? Like a realistically horrific scene when she gets in the van. But
and that's what I meant about that's
Yeah.
what I meant about like it starts out funny and then it ends so terribly and sad.
Exactly. How about you, Nikki? Do you have any?
I can't think of a specific scene. It has been 2 weeks since we've seen.
You laughed
seen
a
it.
lot when Chris Pratt showed up.
Well, yeah, that was just hilarious to see Chris Pratt, like little Chris Pratt, before like anything.
He's only in it for like 30 seconds. Did
Yeah.
he die?
He was in more of the movie. He had to be. I'm convinced there's like a bunch of deleted scenes of this dude that like they probably wisely just excised from the movie. For me, it felt like they were teeing him up to be a victim down the line. It almost makes no sense unless they just edit him out after the fact.
Yeah.
It's funnier that he just showed up for 30 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, way better use of his cameo for sure.
When teacher J.K. Simmons pops in without with like a hook hand for no reason. I mean, that's just hilarious. I feel like we cracked up. We're like, why is he missing a hand? There's just no explanation. And
They need to do a sequel movie where all these characters get to come back and like have a little bit more of a prominent role. Like one of the biggest crimes is that this movie stopped at this movie. It clearly had so many bigger, grander designs, like this town that's got mad Sunnydale energy of a hole that goes nowhere, and all of this like crazy magical stuff that kind of seems to be happening even outside of the main magical stuff. Like this, it was just begging to be expanded upon.
also at the end when, what is it? I don't remember what dance is going on, spring dance or prom or something, and they're talking about the special guest, and you can see it coming before it happens, but just I think Needy's face when Low Shoulder is like the special guest band that's playing at the dance that they're going to. It's just great.
And
What
how
a
excited
horrible prom
J.K.
that would
Simmons is
be.
about it. Like he's so excited about this band.
Yo, I'm sorry, but I didn't see one black person in that like place. If I was a black dude and I found out that my dance was like being just hijacked by those guys, even without the context of the horrible stuff they did, I'd be so mad.
Mm.
This apparently takes
You-
place in like
like-
northern Minnesota too, right? It's like
Yeah, I always forget that it's in Minnesota.
Yeah, up north. Well,
It's
and
so
then
funny.
Jennifer ate like the one boy of color, basically.
oh yeah, the exchange student.
The
That was like the
exchange
one
student.
guy. Yeah.
Yo, and then they didn't even let him talk right before he got murdered.
I know.
It's just that's such a bad scene. She just keeps asking him all these questions that like I don't know how much English you know, dude, but all of these are red flags. Like you should run away. Oh man. I did remember one other joke real quick to your question, Joe. When Needy, Amanda Seyfried's character, is like going through kind of the requisite like I did research on the monster thing, you know. She talks about how she was in the occult section of their school library, and the boyfriend's like, our library has an occult section.
That was excellent.
That is a great joke. That is like that's what I mean about the self-awareness, man. It's so great in this movie. Every once in a while, it just stops and goes, "Okay, we had to say this because this only happens in movies."
The other segment we have in this podcast is our now famous "Fight It or Flirt It." Khalid, would you explain a little bit what that means?
Yes. So when Joe begged me to do this podcast with him, I was like, fine, but on one condition. I get to have this self-serving bit at the end where I get to muse about whether or not I would romance a monster. So this week's Fight It or Flirt It, I don't know. I mean, I guess I have to give a caveat. So like the movie came out in 2009, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. Like my take on this movie is colored by like the fact that even at my most present, I don't know that I would have appreciated this movie at that age. Whereas now I'm old enough and enough like stuff in the world has happened that I've kind of changed my antenna to be more receptive to this kind of storytelling. So I feel like it's only fair to kind of give that context for my Fight It or Flirt It answer. So I guess I have an answer for when I was 19, and I have an answer for now as like my 30-year-old self. 19-year-old me, no question, would definitely try to flirt it. It's Megan Fox. You could tell me over and over again that it's a succubus and it'll only end one way, and I'm still gonna be like, yeah, but maybe not.
You would die. You'd be like Needy's boyfriend.
I would die.
Yep.
I would. You, as somebody who knew me at that age, I would die, Nikki.
Yep.
But yeah, now 30-year-old me, I don't, it's not even anything against Megan Fox. She is still she doesn't need me to say it, but she is still a very beautiful woman, and it would still be hard to turn her down. But I think that my frontal cortex or whatever fully like develops, when like the oven timer hits and you're an adult after 25, I think that's finally fully cooked through, and I would have the wherewithal to fight her off. So I would fight her now to answer that.
All right. So it's a flirt it, but now fight it? How would
Flirt it then, fight it now.
Flirt it then, fight it now. It's a new category that we've just added.
So well put, yes.
Yeah. I made a spreadsheet to keep track of all this, Khalid, just so you know.
Oh man, I don't know how you're gonna quantify any of that at any point because of all these like new wrenches I throw into
I'm
it.
gonna make some graphs.
It sounds like a threat.
It was a threat. I thought it'd be kind of interesting too, before we wrap it up, to just talk about other movies and media that have had succubi in as like featured prominently, and I looked and scoured the internet and came to Wikipedia and found a bunch there. And so if you are listening to this podcast and you're like, well, I want to do more succubus stuff, there's a whole bunch of books that dating back to the 1600s feature succubus or succubi demons to some manner. So feel free to go back to any of those books. You can also, well, this ties back to our Star Trek thing. There's an unused 1977 Gene Roddenberry pilot called Spectre that was about a succubus demon. That'd be kind of fun to go back and find. Also, Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson is a take on the succubus myth, except it changes it from a demon to more alien-esque. Suicide Squad, right? Succubus, the Enchantress, and the other guy is
Enchantress
Incubus.
a succubus?
Yeah, totally. Lots of low-budget horror flicks. A lot of shows like X-Files, Charmed, South Park, Lost Girl, Being Human. Check out all those if you want more succubi in your life.
Wow, so much succubi in pop culture.
I know, you just can't get enough, huh?
Well, aside from succubus as well, I mean, in a more grand or more general category, Jennifer qualifies as a femme fatale as well. I mean, I would say succubus is with the demon aspect is a little bit more subset of femme fatale, but yeah, there's a lot of great femme fatale stories out there too. So,
do you want to explain to us what a femme fatale is?
In general, a femme fatale is an attractive or seductive woman, especially one who ultimately brings disaster to any men who become involved with her.
That fits pretty perfectly in this, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really until just now didn't even like consider that qualification or classification, I should say. But it really fits, and it's just like another point in this movie is layered like the world's most complicated onion argument for me.
Femme fatale, one of the older kind of phrases that people would also use is man-eater, so that's appropriate.
It's a good song, too.
Great song. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up there. We're coming up on potentially making this now our longest episode, which I think is fair because it's 3 of us now instead of 2. So we got to kind of you get to add a little bit for that leeway, right?
We'll just cut out every time you talk, Joe. I think me and Nikki got this covered.
Mhm.
Fair. Well, I have the editing power, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think I overplayed my hand here.
Yeah, it's okay. Still need you. You're the funny one.
Cleet has a lot of good sociological takes too.
He did. You did really well this week.
Yeah, I did my homework.
Anyway, so when we get to this ending part in our podcast, we've kind of started doing this thing where we just talk about we've kind of just talked about what we're watching or what we're into at the moment, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. I don't really have a name for this segment, so if any of you listening have a cool idea for a name for this segment, feel free to let us know. But Khalid, is there anything you've been watching or reading or interested in you want to plug?
I've been kind of taking a break from watching stuff other than what we're doing for the podcast, just to kind of give myself a little recharge. But I did recently come across an album that I really like. I don't know if we're doing music recommendations
Totally,
on this
yeah.
podcast. I mean, cool. So it's called Ski Mask. The Slump God is the artist, and the name of the album is Stokely. And it came out in 2018, so it's not even a new album or anything like that, but something about it, it's kind of got a Tyler the Creator garage rock vibe to it, and the lyrics are so funny and inventive, and it's a brisk 32 minutes if you want to just give something new a listen, or not really new but new to you if you haven't heard it before. I really recommend it. I don't know. I just want other people's thoughts on it. It's really good.
I'll have to check that out. Thanks for the rec. Nikki, what about you? I know we watch the same stuff, but we read different things and sometimes watch different things. You got something you want to plug?
Well, I just started Marlon James's book, Black Leopard, Red Wolf. So I'm at the very beginning of it. It's already a wild ride, and I know you'll be reading it after me. So, yeah, listeners should check it out too. Khalid, I don't know. I know you're not as much of a book reader, but maybe you should check it out too eventually.
We don't cotton to book learning around here, Nikki.
I guess, though, since Khalid has talked about what he's listening to, I've been listening to the Birds of Prey soundtrack ever since we went and saw it. So that's been my jam, while I'm working, doing science, listening to Birds of Prey and feeling the lady power. So that's been fun. If you need some of that in your life, you should listen to the soundtrack too, Khalid.
I always need that in my life, and I am definitely going to download the soundtrack now based on that awesome recommendation.
Do it. And Joe?
Well, based on your recommendation, Khalid, many episodes ago, we've finally finished the second season of What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
Which was fantastic. And I'll echo what you said back then. Anybody who loves this podcast probably will love that show.
The second season, I don't know. It was already such a just good show first season, and you don't really demand it of the shows you're watching, especially ones that already just do the bare minimum of giving you enjoyment to watch it. You don't demand greatness, but when it hits you like that second season did, man, it is chef's kiss. So great.
Yeah, it's really hard to describe how well they did. It's funny, it's hilarious, it's goofy, and the cast is great, but it's just it's so interesting. I'm oh, what's gonna happen? Wow.
I got 2 words for you, Joe.
Yeah.
Jackie Daytona. That's what happened.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing we just finished recently, we just finished watching the Outsider adaptation on HBO based on Stephen King's story, which is kind of a monster story too, which we may touch on this podcast in the future. But I thought it would be kind of fun to bring up here because Karyn Kusama, who directed Jennifer's Body here, actually directed, I think, a couple of the episodes of The Outsider too. So, and then a couple episodes were also done by J.D. Dillard, who did Slight, and he just did a monster movie called Sweetheart, which I think we'll get to as well. But some good monster movie directors worked on that show, so it's worth a shot for those of you guys who like monsters too.
Say, Joe, where can you find What We Do in the Shadows?
Oh, What We Do in the Shadows, going back, it's on FX, but I know we've been watching on a Hulu.
Definitely check it out. If you got a Hulu subscription, you will not regret it, especially once you get through that first season. Second season is going to be a real treat. I don't know how else to say it. It's a real treat.
And if any listeners haven't seen the movie that the show is loosely based off of, or kind of the same...
Spun off of,
yeah, thank you. What We Do in the Shadows, the movie, is also a great place to start.
Also a great movie.
Yeah. Fun movie. I got to rewatch that at some point.
Same. I was thinking that too. We should watch it again.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do it for the podcast.
Yeah. So Khalid, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Khalid Hussein, all one word. And you can find me on Instagram at nappy_Gilmore_.
And Nicole, how about you?
I'm not really out there very much. I have a Facebook because I've had one since I was in high school, but it's kind of quiet now, so I don't know.
Well, luckily, your husband is the host of the show, and he is your biggest fan, so he will definitely keep propping up awesome stuff you do down the line, which you do a lot of. So keep an eye on that, on Joe's timelines, because he's a big cheerleader for awesome people like Nikki.
True. And she's selling herself a little bit short here. She has a couple really cool articles that she's written out there. Maybe I'll share them on the page. She wrote a Star Trek article that was published. An article about Beauty and the Beast that was published on my blog. That's pretty cool. So maybe we'll have to revisit and dig those up. Both great.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Also, folks, you can find me on Twitter at Joe Praska, just my name. Easy place to find all my things. But if you're a fan of this podcast, give us a follow on Twitter as well. FrankenPod is our handle. We're not about Al Franken. That's just what we could find. And find us on Facebook. Just Google or just look us up on Frankenstein's podcast on Facebook. Also rate and review us. That's very kind. We have 5
stars.
We have 5 stars now to counterbalance your mom's 1-star review that she gave us. Apparently, you said last time.
Tough but fair.
Yeah, tough but fair. And I also wanted to kind of give a shout out and a thanks to another friend of the podcast, Khalid. I think you might know him more than I do, but it was Joel Brewster, who runs a pretty sweet page on Facebook as well, the West Coast Strange, and they've been sharing our podcast too. So
follow that page.
If you like our stuff, definitely follow West Coast Strange. It's a lot of fun.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's super fun, Nicole. Thanks for coming on. I know we live together, so I see you a lot, but it's fun to have this like conversation in this sort of different manner where we both are kind of like leaning back and forth to this one microphone.
Yeah, it's great fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Think you'll come on again someday?
I would love to.
All right.
We would love to have you, Nikki. This was awesome, and it was as great as I thought it was going to be.
Aw.
Agreed.
All right, guys. Until next time, creep it easy.